This is the Aptitude Outdoors Podcast, where we interview travelers, explorers, and outdoorsmen and women to bring you the best tips and stories from around the world. All right, tonight we have Mr. Nate Langlois. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. You have a very French last name. You are the owner, founder, Saw and Mill Company. Man, I've been following your Instagram page for a minute. Like when I first got on Instagram back in the day, you guys were like one of the first pages I followed, and we started chatting, and I'm super stoked to have you on the podcast. Also super stoked on this sick hat hookup that you sent me. It's beautiful. It fits well. I hate bad fitting hats. I hate them. Like I will not wear them, but enough about that. Why don't you, before we get too carried away in the details of Saw and Mill Company, man, why don't you drop a little background on yourself and why you kind of fell in love with the outdoors as a fellow Midwesterner? I know it's more difficult for us than some other people, but man, it's the best.
Yeah. So I guess my lineage came from my family. They're definitely outdoorsy people. My dad, my parents, they're not like vacationers per se. Like they like to get messy. They like to go camping as deep in the woods as they can, backpacking in Colorado. I told you a little bit about Minnesota. We got a kind of a large number of the family in Minnesota. So the connection to the Boundary Waters, and that family has been pretty strong. It's kind of like a family reunion when you go up there.
The Boundary Waters is something I've heard a ton about, but I've actually never been up there. It's like canoe heaven. Yeah. Do you have any sick experiences out there that kind of like stick out in your mind as a kid, as an adult, as a drinking beer?
The place is just wild. Like, you can go out to Colorado and backpack for a week and not see an animal. You go up into the Boundary Waters, and it's, just basically a large chain of lakes between the border of Minnesota and Canada. And you're going to see something every day. You're going to see bears just walking along the lake, moose, lynx, small, like wild cats, like everything. And I think that is like one of people's fondness of the Boundary Waters is just how wild it is and how untamed it is. Because it's not that easy to access. You got to port it, you got a canoe, you got a portage, it's a lot of work to get deep in there. And, it's pretty much just untouched. So, the higher you go into the mountains, the less animals you see. The deeper you go into the Boundary Waters close to Canada, it just gets wild.
I've done a handful of canoe portages myself. Yeah. And like comparatively to kayak portaging, canoe portaging is hell on earth, man. It is brutal. So brutal.
It's brutal. Canoeing, you can pack as heavy as you want to. You got to carry all that stuff, but you typically bring a little extra like creature comforts when you go canoeing because you don't have to go too fast and light. You're going heavy and slow basically. But then once you hit that portage, it's a brutal. You can hit a 2 mile long portage. You got to carry all that stuff that you've been kind of like cruising through the water in. There's
not really any flowing water up there. It's just lakes. Like you're just dead paddling.
No, I mean, there's channels between the lakes that if you want to circumvent a portage and take your chances with some rapids, you can do that. But mostly it's just still water. It's just a very relaxing place until you hit that portage, and then it's like the real work starts. But it's worth it. It's a beautiful place.
One of the things that I have a hard time relaying to a lot of people is like the Midwest kind of gets a bad rap for the outdoors as far as like adventure stuff goes. I mean, people that live in the Midwest know what it's about. And like, we know what the things are that we can do. There's canoeing, kayaking, there's backpacking, there's all this fun stuff. A lot of people just associate it with, like sick whitetail hunting and cornfields and stuff. So I'm kind of glad you're on here because it's hard to relate. You're right outside of Chicago, correct?
Yep, correct.
You got any local stuff out there that's pretty awesome to explore?
We have, we're about a 3-hour drive from a couple different places in Wisconsin. Wisconsin does a great job with their like state parks, and Iowa there's a little bit there. Illinois actually doesn't have a whole lot of like, I would consider like true outdoorsy places, places to visit that you would think is like, an adventure a little bit. But, yeah, there's plenty to do in Wisconsin River. We're very close to Minnesota. We're very close to, there's some islands in, like Isle Royale in the middle of Michigan. That's an awesome place to backpack. You can go straight through the island. It's a kind of a small island with, I don't know, a bunch of wolves and stuff like that trapped down there. So
you backpacked up there?
There's plenty to do. What?
You've backpacked up there?
Yeah, backpacked at Royale. Yep.
I have not, dude. I really want to, but it's like, we were actually supposed to go this year. Two of the guys I had on the podcast earlier that hiked the Appalachian Trail, they invited me to go with them, and I was super stoked, and all this COVID shit happened, and now it's just like kind of died in the water. But man, that has to be, I've only heard anyone that's ever been there tell me how awesome it is.
Yeah, no, that's more of a like an expedition too, because you got to get there by boat. It's like a short boat ride from Minnesota, or a really long boat ride from like we would drive up to like the Green Bay area, basically, or a little further north and take a long boat across. But we did Minnesota, with family, and yeah, that place is beautiful. And it's a little ferry that takes you across. So.
Is that like a multi-day? Are you talking like 4 or 5 day backpack trip?
Yeah, you can do, at the end there's a little hotel, but, or a little like area that you can kind of stay at, but yeah, it's like probably a 3-day hike. You can make it as long as you want, obviously. You can go straight through the island or kind of hug the shore. So we hugged the shore a little bit because it was hot. So, but I heard like straight down the middle of it is pretty, it's pretty cool.
That's sweet. I think they have moose on the island too.
Yeah, they got a lot of animals trapped on that. Yeah, we saw some moose. Like, saw a lot more moose in the Boundary Waters, but
I've seen black bear in Michigan, but I've yet to see a moose, and that's like a goal. Like, I need to see a moose in Michigan just to prove that it's real. Because I thought everybody's always like, yeah, we got black bears in Michigan. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I woke up. It's like we're right outside my hammock. I was like, oh shit, there are actually black bears out here in Michigan. But let's kind of talk about your business here, man. I mean, Saw and Mill Company. I'm looking at your website right now. You guys kind of like a multi-dimensional thing here. You got a clothing line. You make Midwestern branded hats, which I'm going to order the Ohio one as soon as I saw it. I was like, oh shit. I actually grew up in Michigan, so my dad's going to be pissed at me, but I currently reside in Ohio. So whatever. What was your motivation to start a clothing line? Because I mean, your logo is super crisp. Your clothing looks super sick for outdoorsmen, outdoors women, everyone. Where'd that inspiration come from?
Dude, the clothing, I have a cousin that has a pretty big clothing line in Minnesota, and he's the one that actually designed all those state hats. And the state hats were kind of I thought they had like a good outdoorsy feel and brought a little more connection to the brand, from other states. Like, it's definitely like a Go USA type brand, like all the clothes are made in America. So I just thought it was a natural fit to bring in, some state hats, show some love for, the good old US of A. And, just kind of like make it like more of a national, brand. But the clothes, really just came from like, I wanted to basically put kind of the, some design, that you could wear behind, the stuff I'm doing outdoors. And I wanted to basically also wear something that I could, kind of share with other people when I go out milling or, go out camping, stuff like that. So yeah, there wasn't like a real rhyme or reason for it. I just thought it was a natural fit to, in the company, was to, show people how much I really love doing this. And, the Saw and Mill brand, and just give it some, a little more visibility basically when I'm out milling. So
yeah, man, I mean, it's super sweet stuff. And like I was saying earlier, it's so hard to find specifically hats for me. They like, I own a ton of hats. Like I literally own a ton of hats. I'm always wearing my Aptitude Outdoors hat because obviously I want to represent my own brand on the camera. But like you sent me this hat, I put it on. I'm just like, holy shit, dude. Like it fits just like the one that I have. And like, there's something about a bad fitting hat that just makes you not want to wear it. It's just like, it doesn't fit your head right. It looks all like flappy and weird and stupid. So it's super comfortable. And like, also that's super important if you're doing anything. Like obviously this sick camo hat I'm going to be rocking during hunting season coming up here. You a hunter? No,
not really. Actually, my brother's the hunter out in Iowa. So I don't get access to go out like too often in the winter. Like I chose the milling, side of it, but fishing, fly fishing, fly fishing and milling. That's what I do all winter long.
I always feel like such a wimp because my good buddy Brad, he owns a fly fishing shop. I know, like in Ohio, fly fishing is not a huge thing. Like it's starting to come. I mean, I don't want to say in Ohio, where I'm at in Ohio, in Toledo specifically, it's just started coming up. But man, I always feel like a wimp because everybody's like fly fishing, fly fishing, fly fishing. You're on Instagram. Everybody's always fly fishing. All the pictures are fly fishing. And I'm like sitting over here with my little bait caster, like, oh man, I feel like a nerd. What's the appeal of fly fishing versus just your standard run of the mill, bait caster fishing?
Like I'm more of I guess like a go after it, type person. Like regular fishing, like I think there's some, there's a lot of fun and merit in like deep sea fishing, it's a little more active, but getting in the water, fly fishing and actually, it's more of like an active, it's definitely more of an active sport than, sitting on the, the side of a lake or something like that, or just dropping a line in the water. So I don't know. I like it, and I feel like you do it more, longer seasons basically too. So.
Yeah. Mostly for me, fishing consists of sitting on a pontoon boat, really drunk, pretending like I'm going to catch something. Yeah. I'll tell you what, last weekend I was out on the boat, and my brother and I were just sitting there drinking, casting, just like top water lures, just messing around and like the weed or like the lily pads and stuff, trying to just catch some bass or whatever. This freaking pontoon boat comes between us and the shore. Like, I mean, we were like 20, 30 feet off the shore, and we were the only boat on the lake besides them. And we're like, are you kidding me? Took all of my like nice energy not to just scream at them or jump off the boat and just tackle them into the water. I was so mad, dude.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. You're sharing like, a lake with, a bunch of, drunken boaters, I guess you could say, more leisurely boaters.
It looked like a grandpa taking his grandkids out on a boat ride. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to be mean right now. But what rivers are you fishing out there? I'm not so super familiar with Illinois.
Dude, we do the Manistee in Michigan. We've done that many times. That's a good one. We've canoed that, fished that one. There's actually a couple places in Iowa that I mainly go, because my brother's got that little hobby farm out there, so I go mainly out there. But yeah, just trolling fishing, like we do the Wisconsin River, a little bit, just kind of fish off the boat. But fly fishing year round, like my brother's got a nice trout stream, that goes right through his farm. That's pretty sick. Like, yeah, I don't know. Those are the main two places I go.
You ever been on Lake Michigan?
Fishing?
Like charter boat fishing or anything?
No, not in a long time.
I
did once maybe.
Just took my buddy out for his bachelor party charter fishing out on Lake Michigan up by Traverse City.
Yeah.
Dude, he caught it was an okay sized trout, but he never caught a fish before. He was like losing his mind. Man.
Super excited.
Yeah. Him and his buddy, I was like, as the outdoors guy of the group, I was like sitting there just like sweating, like I want to catch a fish, but we got stormed out. But I was just like, let him have it. I wanted to jump in there and be like, yeah. But
oh man, he might never stop fishing now, huh?
That's my goal, because
we don't catch that one fish.
We don't hang out enough. But The main thing that you're focused in on is milling.
Yep.
So like that, to me, that's like the manliest of manly activities you can be in. Dude, that's so like cutting trees down or finding trees down and cutting them into boards, building something out of them. How the hell do you get involved in something like that? Just like,
yeah. So it goes back to the Boundary Waters and a little bit of backpacking in Colorado. I was kind of reflecting about like where I picked it up, and it was actually, there was a DNR guy, or I mean, it could have been forestry, that was cleaning up the one of the trails, the portages in Minnesota, and they were milling up a log. You know, I'm not sure what they were doing with it, but they're basically making a gigantic like 6x6. You know, they're turning that round log and just, you know, milling on each side to create something, you know. And I didn't know, you know, I still don't know what they did with it, but that stuck in my head. And then in Colorado, I saw the same deal, like a forestry guy. They were just, you know, they had their chainsaws, they had their small chainsaws, and then they had their, you know, 120cc chainsaws with a 6-foot bar, and they were milling up some big like ponderosas or something like that, with some big pines. And yeah, I don't know, it just kind of stuck with me. And everybody, you know, I was reading a little bit more about it, and they were saying how jealous they were of people in the Midwest because we got such good hardwoods. You know, like we have a little more, you know, we're gonna have a lot more like oaks and walnuts and stuff like that. And I just want to try my hand at it, because I was always, you know, we were always taught to split firewood. You know, parents always had the wood burning stove going, you know, to heat the garage, wood burning fireplace, you know, all year round. So we're always splitting, you know, with the splitting maul. We were cutting as much as we could with the, you know, our little chainsaws, so I could handle it, you know, and I knew, like, you know, how to sharpen it, how to take care of it. And then the milling was, you know, I just thought it'd be cool to, you know, slab up some wood, you know, bring something home that didn't, you know, buy at a big box store, you know. And my intent was never to cut down like a live tree. Right now I find them through, you know, basically through social media. People, you know, construction guys will reach out to me because they cleared some land for, you know, a new store or, you know, housing development, and they'll ask, you know, we want to take some of this home. I've had a guy that has a tree company where people come and pay him to drop off the trees, and I got access to that land. And then I have about, you know, almost 2 acres of, you know, trees that are falling all the time. So, you know, I'm just, you know, milling as much as I can. But the community of people online that just, you know, thought it was cool, like what I was doing, you know, just reaching out and saying, you know, we got this tree down, because I don't drop trees, you know, like, especially not live ones, especially not just for the wood. You know, I'm taking stuff that's already been, you know, dropped for other reasons, whether it's they're dead or, like I said, they cleared the land, and instead of them turning into mulch, you know, turning them into all types of stuff, you know, sometimes just selling the boards. You know, people want to go home, do something creative themselves with it. And yeah, it's been fun, you know. Like, never intended to make any money on it, that much. I'm still probably not.
well, if you don't want to make any money, you should start a podcast. That's the quickest way to lose money, real quick. But it's funny you say that, because growing up, I grew up in Southeast Michigan. My dad was huge into that same kind of thing. Like, we heated our house with wood. We grew up splitting wood. I was actually going to ask you, man, I was thinking, you can see behind me if you're watching on YouTube, I think these 2 corners here, I need to hang some like reverse facing axes. It'll make it look pretty legit in here.
Heck yeah, you could.
But that's a kind of a skill. And you know, I don't care. I'll generalize. Like, that is not something, and I don't feel like I'm wrong here, that is not something that kids nowadays are getting.
No.
I don't know how many piles of wood I've stacked in my life and that have fallen over, and my dad said, get your ass back out there and restack that pile of wood. Or like, my dad gave me that kind of same conservation ethic. Like, he never cut down a tree ever. Like, growing up, we had 10 acres of woods. They're falling all the time. Or if there's like a standing dead tree, cut that down. But we never cut down any trees for any reason. And up here up in Michigan, it was oak, maple,
absolutely.
oak. Yep. Like sharpening the damn chainsaw every 5 minutes. It felt like. So I'm completely feel you there. Have you ever felled a tree with just a straight up axe?
In my backyard, yeah, that's about it. You know,
dude.
Like sometimes it's a good workout. Sometimes it's too dangerous to get like in there with a chainsaw. You know, like I don't know. An axe might be a little more convenient, a little easier, but yeah,
that's
a good sharp axe could take down a tree pretty fast.
I really nerded out on like the nature boy bullshit when I was like in college or whatever. I bought a really nice axe. I mean, we're talking like a $200 axe.
Yep.
Like a tree felling axe.
First Brook. Yeah.
It might be. It's in my garage right now. I can't remember. It's been sitting out there unused for a very long time. But I bought the axe, bought an axe sharpening stone, learned how to sharpen it. I got that thing like razor sharp.
Yep.
And I wanted to learn how to cut down a tree. So I went out there and I, blistered the shit out of my hands. But man, that experience, that teaches you, like, man, people used to do this. The people still do this all day long. That's hard ass work, dude.
Yep. No, it's brutal work. Like you're just using different muscles than you do at like the gym,
Mm-hmm.
That's like all day, like man's work kind of stuff,
So I have no experience in the milling side. My dad, I was telling you before we got started, my dad built the bed that I still have now. He built it out of a oak tree. He bought one of those little, I don't know where the hell he probably found it at like a garage sale or something. He's all about the garage sales. It was a little milling thing you attach to your chainsaw, and he cut planks out of this oak tree.
That's what I got. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, what is that like? And kind of maybe go off into like what kind of gear you're using to be able to cut stuff like that and make custom furniture. Cause I'm not good at building stuff.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it.
So basically it just starts with, the saw. Like you need a big saw, that can handle a big bar. Cause the bar, I have my smallest bar is 41 inches. The largest bar is 60 inches. So you can imagine like how long that thing is, and how much like force needs to drive that chain. So the saw I have, is a 120cc saw, and I got a good long blade and then a ripping chain, which a ripping chain is just a little bit different from regular chain, but there's no like regular chains. They try to do a little anti-kickback basically, so you don't you're cutting wood and the chainsaw is not kicking back into your face. But with the ripping chain, it cuts it a little smoother, a little faster, I guess you could say. And you're stuck in a jig. So the Alaskan chainsaw mill is your jig, and that attaches to the bar and gives it a straight cut. And basically on your first cut, it's round. So you need something to, make it straight. So I typically, lay a makeshift ladder that I made, and it kind of just sits on the top when it's like, a round trunk. And that's the first cut. If you get the first cut right, you don't need that ladder, and you can just kind of adjust the height of your, the jig, and you can just run it through. And if the chain is sharp, it'll like pull you through. If it's not, it's some work. Yep. But yeah, basically, I try to cut them, like a couple inches thick, just to be a little different. Cause a lot of people cut them like super thin, cause they dry out a little faster and they sell them. Like I cut them pretty thick, and then, let them air dry for, sometimes up to 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then, sometimes I like build like a little makeshift kiln and stick them in there for a while if I really want to get them like super dry.
Yeah, that's a thing a lot of people don't realize with wood. I mean, everybody now is so used to buying like particle board bullshit from Target, and it's just like, I mean, I have some in my living room, like a bookshelf, and it's just the biggest pieces of shit ever. Like I know that the bed that my dad built is going to last until I'm dead.
Right.
It's got fucking dead bolts in it. Like it's just bolted together. It's oak. Like I can't even lift it up. We were putting screws in it to put it back together, and the drill was just like,
yeah, exactly.
Like drying wood is a process, and that's
it's a process.
That's something I learned at a young age. Like when we were splitting wood and stacking wood, you're going a year ahead to let it dry.
Yep.
You tarp it, you dry it. I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like they go buy firewood for camping, and that's about the extent that they have with firewood.
Yeah, and sometimes they have no idea why their wood's not burning that good. It's just not that dry. Like it depends where you get it from.
What?
Some people are selling wet wood. So
how many times have you gone to a camping ground and you've seen like people just cut tree limbs off and they're trying to burn it? It's like, oh yeah, dude, the shit you're burning at home is not even remotely close to what you think you're getting in the woods. Like it's a process.
Oh yeah, it's a process. Yeah, you got to go out and find dry wood. It's completely different. Just like the milling, like if somebody wants, like a board from their front lawn, like it falls down, they want a board, they want a slab, they're not going to be playing around with it for at least a year. It takes time, like stuff like that takes a ton of time. It's no instant gratification in what I'm doing. So
yeah, that's the outdoors for you in general.
Yeah.
Now, what's your favorite stuff to build? I see you build a lot of like tables, you build a lot of like furniture style stuff, but what's your like favorite thing to build?
I think benches. Benches have been kind of the like the key product, basically. Like the benches, either I'm selling them for people that are having a wedding, and for some reason that's turned into some like a great wedding gift for people sign it. But mainly the benches I build are requests for like charity raffles and stuff like that. Okay. And that's kind of been my go-to product because it's something anybody can use, like if you build a dining table, it's got to be very specific for a house. You build a coffee table, not as specific, but you're getting there. You build like a kind of like a little standard bench, somebody's going to find a use for it. Mm-hmm. So that's been kind of, my go-to product for selling and for giving away for the different like charities that we've done, like for battered women houses. We've done it for, for the food banks. My wife's a teacher. We did that for scholarships for some kids, for seniors basically. And that's like the go-to product, like benches don't, they don't get changed out too much, like coffee tables and, stuff like that. So
yeah, my dad used to build these benches. It was like the most rudimentary bench that you've ever seen. It was it was basically you do like, I don't know, like a 5-6 foot tree, cut in half. And then the ends, you'd cut them, lay them down flat on the ground and bolt the bench to those. It was like the most basic bench. Yep. Everybody wanted one when they came over to visit. Yeah. He built them for my grandpa. He built them for like everyone in our family. And they were like the coolest things I've ever seen. Yeah.
People like those benches and they like the story behind it. They like the story about building the benches. Cause like how I relate Saw and Milko to, like an outdoorsy, vibe is, just like when you're camping, just like when you're backpacking, canoeing, like the adventure doesn't really start until things start going wrong.
Yeah.
And when I'm out building, things are always going wrong, like it's either too cold, too wet, things break, it's kind of the same deal, like, and when you look back at the end of the day, like sometimes like the crappiest camping days are the days you remember, whether you're like, camp gets ransacked by a black bear or, you get lost or, you lose your, you lose your food, you lose your cooler, you lose something, that's the stuff you remember, like you don't remember when everything went perfectly well.
I don't think a lot of people realize too, how fickle chainsaws are.
Yeah.
I think 90% of the time I spent out in the woods as a kid with chainsaws was spent fixing the damn chainsaw.
Oh yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Like
chains get loose, like they're dull. You got to sharpen them all the time. You're not thinking, you can flood the engine, like there's just all types of stuff. Now I wonder why, spark plugs go bad. The filters get full of sawdust, because you didn't sharpen enough. So you got all this fine dust, like the sharper the blade, like the longer the shavings are, a really dull blade is just going to be just dust. So
yeah. I always felt like a super badass though, wearing those like chainsaw pants, even though they probably wouldn't keep my leg from getting cut off.
Yep.
But do you ever get do you ever have moments where you've so we used to cut down trees. They'd be at like a 45-degree angle leaning on another tree or something. We try and get them for firewood. Do you have any moments? Cause I know I do, where you're just like, this is going to be hairy as shit, dude. Like it's,
Yeah, no, I ran into that last weekend with one that was like that was hung up,
Mm-hmm.
Like you always want to keep your chainsaw like, below your head, like engaged. You want your body weight on it, People that put their chainsaws above their heads are, a little nutty. But yeah, I mean, you kind of start small and you kind of have to experiment, I guess you could say, instead of just going just diving into it, because that's when you get in trouble. Either your chainsaw gets pinched in there, the blade, and then you got a stuck chainsaw, or you're not looking around your surroundings, basically, which is actually the most important thing is what's around you, almost more so than the saw and the whatever you're cutting, you gotta make sure you can ditch it, you can run, whatever you got to do.
Well, everybody nowadays is all about gun safety. I was like, have you ever used a chainsaw, man? Like, it's literally a fast moving blades that could cut your head off at any moment. Like, we need more chainsaw safety, I think.
I think cutting like firewood is way more dangerous than the milling, because the milling, you're like, you're in a contraption basically, and you're between two pieces of wood. The chain flies off, chain falls off, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
When you're freaking scrambling around like branches and stuff and kind of tripping over them, that's when people make mistakes. They're like tired, scary stuff.
When you split wood, do you use like a hydraulic wood splitter?
No, just the maul.
Damn.
No, just the maul. Sometimes a wedge. Like if I'm doing it on my property, it's only like a maul, a wedge, and sometimes a sledgehammer.
Yeah,
and a good axe.
Go to a 1 hour gym session, or just grab an axe and go split firewood.
Yep.
I see those people on what do they do? They have like a big tire and a sledgehammer.
Yep.
And they bounce it off. I was like, just go split some damn firewood, dude. It's
exactly.
It's all technique. It's all technique, though. It's not as hard if you know what you're doing. Do you have a special?
Yep. No. If you let a sharp tool is the most, the least dangerous tool, right? Mm-hmm. So the sharper your tool, the less dangerous it is. And then also, letting the tool do its work versus, you doing the work for the tool, the sharp tool is going to fall onto it. Like when you get into sledgehammers and wedges, though, that's when it gets a little, then that's where your workout starts,
Yeah.
That's when
knot. That's the worst.
Yeah. But no. Sometimes, I do a hydraulic, splitter at my brother's when we're, he depends on fire. So then we got to do volume, and we'll definitely get that out because, we're splitting wood for his whole winter, in Iowa, negative, 10 degrees for, a month. So out there, we're splitting with a big hydraulic splitter.
To me,
that's volume for him.
That's the scariest part of any woodworking I've ever done is the hydraulic splitter, because you're like, you just get into a rhythm and you start dumping logs in the splitter. You have it either vertical or you have it horizontal. You're dumping logs in, you're pressing this lever. And if you're not paying attention, your finger gets behind it or in front of it, is gone.
Oh yeah. You're in trouble. You're in big trouble. And you're usually doing it in the winter, so you're wearing gloves and you're not really paying attention. Which is different because you're not like feeling stuff as much, and I don't know, or you're doing like fall, and
it's like just cold enough that you're still sweating, or it's just warm enough and just cold enough that you're still sweating your ass off, lifting up like 50-pound logs one at a time. But I love it. The memories now are great, but when I was doing it as a kid, I hated it so much.
Oh yeah. Now it's therapy for me.
Yeah.
Like, the chainsaw milling is like the closest thing I can do, right outside the suburbs that like makes me feel like I'm, out, camping, out doing something like different because I'm just all by myself,
It's like a woodsman meditation.
Exactly.
You got some big soundproof headphones on. All you hear is, or well, if you're splitting with a splitter, but if not, you're just there with your axe and your maul, just going to town. It's hard work. Anything that involves hard work to me is like a lot of people push nowadays is like meditation, this and that. For me, is hard ass work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know that's one of the things you guys kind of like pride yourselves on is it's like a Midwestern hard work ethic. And I totally feel that. Like if I'm going to the gym or if I'm, going on a hike and it's just hard, I'm backpacking, mountain biking, that's my meditation. Cause I always say you can't think about how bad you feel or whatever, you're bummed out if you can't breathe.
Right.
Or you're focusing. Right. So is that kind of work into like Saw and Milco? Is that kind of guys into your work ethic? How does that make you guys like go?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's that's the adrenaline of it, is we're doing something we like, at the end of the day, we definitely feel that sense of accomplishment, from going out cutting, going out in the, being exposed to all the crazy weather, in the Midwest, it's freezing here in the winter. It's hot as hell in here in the summer. I mean, it is, we get it all. And yeah, just being out there, moving around heavy slabs, like feels good at the end of the day. And it's something that we strive for, it's not like in our company, like credo, it's work boots, not loafers, I
don't know. I spend 90% of my time in freaking Crocs, so I can't really say too much.
I probably do know flip flops actually, for sure.
So
but that's not what it's like built on, It's not
exactly.
Built on leisure. It's built on like, swinging the axes, making stuff with your own hands, and it's not just the story we're trying to tell is not like unique to us. We're trying to like have people reflect on like what they like, like what they like to do, like not everybody wants to swing an axe.
Yeah.
But, some people like going kayaking, camping, like anything to, connect people, reflect on the outdoors, basically what makes them happy outside. That's what we want to, portray, I guess you could say.
So when did you guys open the more like retail store side of thing? You were telling me about that last night. What's that like, running the store and all that stuff?
The store is 100% online right now. Like there's a little fulfillment center, but there's nothing yet that you can go there and like, touch or, see something. And that's kind of what we're striving for. That's coming next, I guess you could say. Like, I think it's very important for, people to, feel the weight of like an axe in their hand, especially if you're selling axes, feel the quality of the clothes, seeing like every, the internet is saturated with stuff, and not all of it is, like visibly it's real. Until you touch it, you have no connection with it. And we definitely want to go the opposite way. Like everything we're selling is not like new age stuff, it's like old school stuff. And I feel like retail is turning into like an old school, thing where online is obviously the future, We like to step back if someday if we can.
Well, I think that's kind of people like you and me. We're outdoorsmen at heart. And like, yes, I'm literally podcasting through the internet, like 500 miles away right now in real time. So, I mean, obviously I love the internet, but like when I go backpacking or when I go canoeing or kayaking or any of this stuff, for me, that's like the grounding, like getting back to like the disconnect. Like I'm on technology 24/7. Like,
Me too. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Texting, podcasting, I work online, it's everything's online. And when you go out in the backcountry and your cell phone says no service, you're like, this is the moment that matters. Like you have to, like I love relying on my skill set. Like I know how to start a fire. I know where to camp to not get water under my tent. I know how to filter water. I know how to, like, I have this basic skill set that outdoors people have. And like a lot of people are missing that nowadays. And I think it's super important, but like you're even a step further. Like people don't know how to make shit anymore. People don't know how to use an axe. There's like, how many freaking types of axes are there for different things? There's like axes for cutting shingles. There's axes for felling trees. There's axes for detail work. So, I don't know. Do you have any like feelings about that? Do you have any feelings about, disconnecting and just getting out there and working hard?
Yeah, no, the feelings I have, like for people, some people are self-reliant in the city, the big city. That's great. And some people are self-reliant and, out in nature. And I respect both like 100%, but the people that, are a little more self-reliant in nature, I think they, when you have a connection, you're going to take care of it. You're going to feel a responsibility, And I'm not saying that people in the big cities don't, because they see the effects of, what happens when you don't have nature, obviously, pollution and stuff like that. But, if you want the connection, you got to be out there. And then to feel comfortable out there, you got to be able to, take care of yourself out there, basically, have those skills, and then you enjoy it, just like anything, like fishing, when you get those skills, you enjoy it a little more, but you got to get out there, you got to get out there. So,
yeah. And it's so funny. I have like, I'm just basically like a nerd. Like I am a nerd about the outdoors. Like I have all these books on like, I have like NOLS, like Knowles backpacking books from the 70s in my library. I got a book that's like old ways of working wood. I've got all these like cool old school books on nature because I'm just interested in it. Yeah. And even out here in the country, like everybody hunts. My neighbor comes to the house and he's like, "Hey man, I saw a deer out there. Can I go out?" And it's like, "Yeah, whatever, dude." They're always there. It's like, it's just what it's like out here. But I had a buddy come to my house and he gave me a bunch of shit. He's like, "Old timey ways of working wood, really?" And it's just like, even out here in the country, man, people are into it. They wear camo and they talk the talk, but they don't really walk the walk. I'm calling it all out. I don't care. But but like it's one thing to like go outside and do this and that and the other thing, but like to really get in detail with it for me is like what's important. And like until you feel that axe in your hand and like you get that technique down until you have the fear of God in you from like deflecting off a log and almost cutting your leg open. That's what it's all about, man. One thing I was interested to ask you, axes, what's kind of like, there's so many freaking types. Do you kind of use them all in different ways, or you mostly just use chainsaws?
No, I mean, I use, like, when I'm out chainsaw milling, like I have a small hatchet to clear off, branches and stuff like that. So I'm not dragging it home with me, like that's definitely like a big tool I use. Yeah. Is the hatchet. And the hatchet, it's like the perfect size. You don't really have to choke up on it to get a good swing. And next, when you choke up on like a bigger axe, it's pretty dangerous. Yeah. So having like the right size tool for the right thing, is important. But then the second I go right up to this like a splitter, like I'm either splitting wood or I'm clearing like small brush. Like I'm not, I'm not like clearing land with the axe so much, but
a lot of work.
I do like them. I mean, they're sweet looking, like the typical, like felling axe. Like that's a nice, it's a nice tool to have. I would say that's like one of the most important survival tools, like if you're going to go out, if you can haul it around, it's a nice thing to have for sure.
Well, and one of the things that scares the shit out of me when I see is when you go camping, or even like my family members at the lake. My grandparents have a little tiny place on a lake up in Michigan, and you'll see like your uncle's been drinking all day and he grabs a hatchet and starts trying to split wood. I'm like, this is worse than any horror movie.
Right. It's like, it's like somebody going out, like, chainsawing without those chaps on, like, I don't care like what situation you're in, like you need them, like you need them. Like, it's just, being sober when you're swinging an axe and having chaps on when you're chainsawing, like.
Or they'll go to like a Big Lots and buy like a $6 hatchet that's like dull as hell. Like, dude,
that's dangerous too, man.
Like, I would literally rather bring my whole collection of axes and hatchets up here and just write them off as a loss than have you try and do that with basically a hammer.
Exactly. Yeah, I would, if you could afford a nice axe, I would say, and if you have a use for it, even if it's once a year, to make kindling for your campfire, I would say, spend that money for that axe. Like, the handle's not going to fall off. The handle's not going to be, fiberglass and crack, and then you're throwing it away. Mm-hmm. Even if you can't rehang it, and put a new handle on it. I would keep that, because somebody would be willing to put a new handle on that one. Those cheap ones, like, those are disposable.
Yeah. Well,
we're all about reducing and reusing, and not recycling.
Yeah. Well, you have a pretty good conservation ethic with your whole business. What's the how do you say that brand of axe? I don't know anybody that knows. Holtzbrook.
So they're the oldest axe manufacturer in Sweden, over 400 years old. So there's Granfurtsbrook. That's a good company. Like, the Swedish axes definitely set the standard, for value. And obviously they're pricey, but they're just quality, like, they all typically have American hickory handles, which is like, another connection why we like them. Hickory from America is some of the best. Yeah. But their steel and the way they fit them and the way they shape them is like second to none.
Well, even people spend all this money at like Home Emporium buying this like shitty wall art that costs like $7 from China. Like, you hang a badass axe on your wall that costs $150. People are gonna like be like, that's way sweeter.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can attest, man. Like, the $150 or $175 axe I have compared to the Fiskars, fiberglass handle axe I bought off Amazon. Like, they're both tree felling axes, but the nice one that I have, dude, it's like butter through a tree. Like,
they're gonna stay sharper longer, which is safer for you, obviously, less work. And then, like, a wooden handle is going to take that shock, that's like, but I mean, those Fisker ones are cool. Like, they're nice, lightweight axe. Like, I get it,
car.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Leave it up at the lake, leave it up at, I'm not afraid to lose that, but yeah, man, like it's something you can teach yourself. You look up a couple of videos on YouTube, and I don't know the technique per se, but it's when you stand on the log and you split a V between your legs, basically. Like, you got to be careful as shit, or you cut your toe in half. But there's some cool shit you can do. Like, you can get. Do you ever watch that movie, the guy in Alaska who built that log cabin by hand? It was an old like PBS documentary, I think.
Oh yeah, I saw that. He was up there for a long time, right?
Yeah, he lived there. He was until he was like 80 or something. Then his family was like, "You got to come back in."
I know what you're talking about.
I'll throw.
I can picture the grainy, like, footage of it.
Like, it's damn, it's gonna drive me insane that I can't think of it because it's such a good movie.
It was good to be back in the wilderness again, where everything seems at peace. I was alone, just me and the animals. It was a great feeling, free once more to plan and do as I pleased. Beyond was all around me. My dream was a dream no longer. I suppose I was here because this was something I had to do. Not just dream about it, but do it.
But to watch that guy like skillfully craft a log cabin out of nothing but an axe, basically, like he didn't have any power. He was filming it on like a hand crank camera.
Crazy. Yeah.
Like the detail that you can get by hand working something. Like he was leveling probably like 200-pound dried pine logs by hand. He just lift it up, shave a little off with an axe. We can't do that anymore.
No chance. You wouldn't even take on that endeavor. You wouldn't even ponder it twice. You look away. You look for a way around it.
Well, I always wanted to do something like that, and then I got old and I had to realize I had to get a real job, and that kind of went out the window real quick.
Right. Yeah. Same here, man. Same here.
You're doing it still though. You're making shit. You're building shit. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
If you had to recommend one style of axe to someone is just a multi-purpose, what would you say?
I would say hatchet. Yeah, I'd say a hatchet. They're small. You could take them on, most trips. It's going to be a nice tool for you. Whether you're in a canoe or backpacking. Mostly, I would say most people are going to use it like a hatchet. Camping, to make kindling, or cut a long branch in half. And I would say a hatchet. If you're going to buy one, if you're splitting wood for firewood, then I would say, grab a hatchet, it's going to fit them all nice in your car, it's a nice thing to have. You could take it anywhere, it's not going to be a burden to bring it somewhere. You're not going to think twice about it 'cause it's small. And, there's things you can't do with a knife,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, if my wife was here right now, she would be like, never let this man buy a knife again. I have so many freaking knives, but to me, they're one of the most useful and awesome tools. I always have one on my person, but, that's something that I think got lost too. That's the thing. Stressed growing up, my dad was you always carry a pocket knife.
Right.
People don't do that anymore. I tried to buy a pocket knife for my nephew. He's 8 and his parents were like, no way. I was like, dude, I have a pocket knife since I was 4. I've always had a pocket knife my whole life. I don't know. Is that something you stress with your kids?
Yeah. Start with a small Swiss Army knife. Always. Yeah. You don't want to be that guy that's asking to borrow the knife,
Yeah, no.
Who's got a knife, You want to be that guy that, pulls it out and here you go, I'm ready to go.
That was my dad every year at Christmas. Who's opening his presents? He always had a pocket knife. And that, that's mean. I actually was super embarrassed yesterday. I went to my mom's birthday and,
happy birthday.
Yeah. Thank you. I forgot my freaking pocket knife. I left it in the car and they're like, hey, we got to open something. I reached in my pocket. I was like, damn it.
Lose your Boy Scout card on that.
I lost my man card, dude.
No?
It's over.
Were you in Scouts? No Scouts?
I was not. I was, well, to be fair, when I was in Scouts here in Ohio, it was I went to a very small Catholic grade school and they had 4 people in it. We never did shit. So I was like, this sucks. I just went and did my own thing.
Just the Scouts. Yeah. Man, I was a Scout. So, be prepared.
Yeah. I wish I had that experience, but I didn't.
Yeah. Scouts kind of taking a little bit of a negative, notation right now, but Scouts, that was a great experience.
Yeah. I mean, anything to get kids outside, whatever, I'm all for it. Speaking of which, a lot of people have asked me to do more stuff about kids in the outdoors. I don't have any kids, so I have zero experience with any of this. You do. What do you think is important for kids nowadays, specifically getting them in the outdoors? Because I know a lot of people are struggling with it. Either adults my age, your age, don't have a lot of experience outdoors and they don't know what to do, or they just don't care. So how do you handle that with your kids?
So I got 2 boys. I would say just like anything, start small. When I bring them out, we're not going on a 15 mile backpacking trip. We're going to a state park. it's going to be more about, leisure and spending time together. But yeah, with kids, you don't want to be bored, right?
Mm-mm.
So, you got to have that deck of playing cards. But yeah, I mean, finding the time, like you find time for things that are important to you, like some people work long hours, but they always find time to go to the gym, right? Because that's like just a part of their makeup,
Mm-hmm.
and you can find time for that. There's lots of things you can't find time for, but I would say, delegating time and then when your kids see like how busy you are, like you're not going on, vacations very often. When you choose to go vacation, to a campground, like you're showing them like how important it is to you, like, and I think they don't recognize it right away, but when they like reflect on it as a teenager or later in life, like they're like, man, my parents are busy, but when they had time, this is where we went. And they're going to feel like a connection to like the outdoors that way. But yeah, I think like, that's maybe later in life, but, exposing them to different things in the outdoors too. So they feel comfortable. Like, yeah, I remember how to do that. I remember how to like, tie a square knot, build a little teepee for a fire, like how to take care of a fire, stuff like, stuff like that. Like, camping in a tent is cool because, you don't know what's going to happen. You're not comfortable, right? I mean, you're comfortable every day at your house, like being a little uncomfortable once in a while.
Yeah.
Feels good, right? I mean,
yeah, it doesn't.
And that's why you're going out there, you're getting out of your comfort zone and you're trying to detach from your everyday life, which is like, I think most people want in like a vacation or a getaway.
Yeah. That's one thing I've been trying to kind of instill in my family in particular. Like my dad's an outdoorsy guy, and as he gets older, he gets less outdoorsy, I'll say.
Yeah.
He just wants to sit around. But, instead of doing the whole like, hey, we're from the Midwest, we're going to go to Florida this year and every year until we die, I've been trying to, like, my cousins and I, like next year, we're trying to plan to go out into Canada, like to the Rockies and stuff. I was like, we can spend the same amount of money going to somewhere with mountains that'll make you like have a heart attack because they're so beautiful, or we can go to Colorado. We can go to Banff instead of going to Florida.
Oh yeah, Banff. Yep.
Yeah, staring at the ocean, eating seafood. Like, come on, I can only handle that for so much. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's cool that they're kind of more open to it now because I shove it down their throat all the time.
Right.
But yeah, it's really hard to get people outdoors, but especially kids nowadays. Like, I'm actually not a proponent of like bad, like everything's bad, like digital stuff is bad. Cause like, that's how I connect with. Like, I would have never met you.
Absolutely. Yep.
I would have never met you if we had Instagram,
Yep.
And so it's like, I'm all for that. But at the same time, like, I do think it's very important to get kids outdoors because I had that experience growing up as a kid. And like I said before, it sucked. Splitting wood sucks when you're a kid. Working outside sucks when you're a kid. But as I'm older, like, I would give anything to go back and do that all over again because it's just such a good memory.
Yep.
But
absolutely, a lot of nostalgia about that,
Yeah. Like, when it builds character.
Yep.
Like, I always felt like I was going to say, I always felt like a outcast with kids my age because I had all these outdoors experiences.
Right.
And they're like, I was like, oh, I can't come over till later. They're having like a get together. I was like, oh, I can't come over till later because I got to help my dad split wood. And I hated it at the time. I was like, I just want to go. He's like, nope. Yeah. But nowadays, like, I appreciate that. I'm like, shit, man. Like, they don't have any like mental fortitude. Their parents just let them do whatever they want. And, now I'm the same way. Like, I got to work. I got to get my stuff done. And then I can go have fun.
Right.
So I think
absolutely.
You're on the right track with that, man. But
yeah, I mean, for me, it was finding a hobby that would, that I could allocate time, that had like a purpose, and to get outdoors basically. So, that was my, hobby turned into, obviously like a full, we're going full steam ahead trying to, sell our products and, market them, fulfill orders, as fast as we can, everything that we, that's turned into like a beast of a work where when I started this thing, the brunt of the work was, carrying like 50-pound slabs. And now it's like, now I'm more worried about like people, do people get it as fast as they could? And, do they enjoy it? That's something I put in every single box. Like, we want you to enjoy this product,
Absolutely.
Like if you don't enjoy it, you can return it,
Exactly.
like you're not stuck with it because, you feel obligated to, you're stuck with it because you hopefully you enjoy it. So that's, that's what we strive for basically, is to make sure people, enjoy what they spent their hard earned money on. Money's hard to, it's hard to find these days. So,
and that's a noble way to be, because a lot of businesses aren't like that anymore.
Yeah.
They just give us your money and too freaking bad. But
right. Yep. And then you got to get through 10 hours of, customer support to get an answer, nah, if you don't want it, like, I'll take it back for you,
I'll put it in my house
that you really enjoy. Exactly.
We're actually getting pretty close to an hour here, but one thing that I kind of wanted to get your opinion on is a lot of I'm always on social media because it's like I don't have a lot of money to like make ads and promote. Like I just talk to people online and with similar interests.
That's the most important thing,
and hope they like what I'm doing, because I don't like. There's this image that people like to portray, not only in the outdoors, it's everywhere, but like you get people out there. Oh man, I should be careful what I say here. You get people out there that take a lot of great pictures and do this and that, and they're promoting the outdoors, which is awesome, but they're making a lot of people feel bad because like they have this persona that their whole life is spent outdoors on Instagram, and all they do is just hike in the mountains all day and look beautiful. And it's total bullshit. Every outdoors person I know is like, I work a 9 to 5, man. I do this because I love it. I love the outdoors. You're a hardworking dude. And like, that's kind of a thing I always want to bring to the forefront is like, you don't have to feel bad if the outdoors isn't your business or life, because like there's a very small percentage of people who actually can do that and afford to do that. And, I know people that have podcasts that have hundreds of thousands of downloads, and it's still like, it's not a money making thing. Like you're an actual business making revenue off of, you sell products and make products. That's sweet. But like, do you have any thoughts on that? Or, I mean, I understand if you don't want to talk about it, but I'm just sick of that persona. Like, oh, I'm an Instagram famous. I live like, you probably have a regular job still.
No, absolutely. Like absolutely have a regular job. Like, the internet is, the shell of like really what your life is. Right. I mean, everybody has, problems, like you're not gonna, some people aren't gonna, broadcast their problems every day. Right. They want to broadcast like the persona of like, what they want somebody else to believe. And I don't think that's good for society, as a whole, because, you're not, instead of, people showing like, it's hard work, to do anything, nothing's like given to you these days, like, but I don't, like you're talking about influencers, basically, like, I get it. I get what they're doing, it's probably, they're a decade and a half younger than me, so their perception, is a little bit different than mine. I didn't grow up on social media. Like, like there was like chat rooms when I was young, that's about it. That was like the first step into the internet was probably like a chat room.
Yeah, dude.
This is online, right? It was just like communicating with random people. But like, if it's, if it's okay if people, are smart enough to recognize that this is not these people's, lives, like their lives are way more complicated. But if they're easily influenced by the influencers, then that's where I think it starts getting, a little convoluted, a little dangerous, basically,
Yeah, because people always feel bad, like they're not good enough because, I didn't get 100,000 followers,
right?
And that's not realistic for a lot of people. Like,
no.
I do this all day long because I love it, and I talk to people online, and I only have like 4,000 something people on Instagram, and it's like that took me years of just connecting with people, and it's I'm just so tired of the persona that these people have, or they buy their followers and stuff, and I'm just like, I want to talk to real people, dude. Like,
it's just like girls and creepy dudes, like most of them. Yeah, it's kind of goofy, but like I said, I'm gonna, probably a decade and a half older than them. So I don't know like what their end goal is, or if they're, some of them are smart enough to see I can make money on this, and some of them are just like, trying to portray like the life they want to live. But when they put like a negative influence on somebody that it's, that this is not obtainable, or they think it's obtainable, but it's really not, then then it's, I could see where that could cause a problem, basically. Well, I get it,
I had a professor in college who I was really close with. He's like he's just a straightforward, no bullshit kind of dude. He was just super nice, but he like didn't sugarcoat anything. And I did this big report for my like final thesis graduation. I interviewed all these construction workers. I used to work construction. I used to work in concrete to pay for college, and the Midwest. That's what you do. You work in construction, or you work like retailers. So I was doing that.
That's funny. That's true. That's true.
And they were all the workers had this outlook like that going to work all day is their life.
Right.
And my professor said something. He's like, you need to talk to these people again and be like, your life is not defined by your 9-to-5 job. Like everybody on earth has to have a job to be alive and support themselves.
Absolutely.
Like, there's 1% of people who were lucky enough to be born into a, rich family. The rest of us got to work, man. Or you can take the opposite approach and be the guy who just gives it all up and travels the world on works landscaping for a couple of months. Like that's a choice you make, but the rest of us are actual real people working real jobs. And he told me, he said, your life is not defined by your 9-to-5. Like you can live a completely life about something you love and just put in those 8, 10, 12 hours a day, whatever, to be that life. I think that's super important. And like I said, you're a hard ass working dude. I'm sure you relate to that more than most people.
Yeah. No,
because you're building something off of what you love, and that's what's important.
Right. Yep.
Just like what I'm doing. I love talking to people about the outdoors. I don't get paid. I love it. It's just there's so many cool stories to be had out there about like people like you doing awesome stuff based off of a passion, and you don't give a shit if anybody else likes it or not. Your passion. You like to do it. Yeah,
absolutely. Like I'm just, basically I'm doing what I love. And then if, obviously I'm broadcasting what I love because I'm sharing it online, and then I'm hoping that somebody finds a connection to it, in some way. Like I just hope that they find a connection, because I don't need, this is never going to be a scalable business where I can start, outsourcing a product and, the masses are going to like it. Right. I mean,
I know it could be. It's sweet ass shit, man. It looks super amazing.
It's not for everybody, but and I understand that. But the people, like back to like social media, like the people that like it, that's I really appreciate it, obviously, because I know there's not many. So,
I'm hoping we can change that. Speaking of social media, hey, why don't you drop all your links to your Instagram, Facebook, and website and stuff so that people know where to find you. I'll toss it all up. If they're watching on YouTube, I'll toss it up on the screen, and just know people where to find you.
No, if people want to find us, they'd find us at sawandmill.com, Instagram /sawandmillco, and Facebook /sawandmillco.
Beautiful, man. I appreciate you coming on, and I look forward to learning more about making stuff with wood, because I'm totally terrible at it. I tried to build like a bottle opener once. It was like the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen. So, all right, man. I appreciate it. We'll see you again soon.
Yeah, have a good night, dude.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this episode of the Aptitude Outdoors podcast here on YouTube. Don't forget to go down below and hit that subscribe button. Really want to thank Nate Langlois for coming on today. He's the owner of Saw and Mill Company. Make sure you head over to sawandmill.com and check out all the awesome stuff that he makes. He's got hats, he's got t-shirts, he's got sweaters, he's got custom furniture. It's really awesome stuff, and I really want to thank you guys for sticking around. I'll see you next time.